The views expressed on the Midvale Main Street Theater podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Midvale Main Street Theater, its owners, advertisers, or volunteers.
Avenue Q is also where you guys first met.
We both showed up, and the entire cast decided not to show up.
Oh.
So it kind of became a small impromptu date.
Yeah. Rock of Ages next.
That was actually the show that almost broke us up.
Okay, do you want to tell that story?
Let's do that,
or
yeah.
Okay.
And it turns out I could do it way better.
Jordan.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
I'm totally kidding. I have this unique thing, and it makes me really cool, and I got made fun of for it. When it's one person's opinion, it's not just their opinion, it's you're hearing their relationship with theater. If they were to come out with, like, the Holocaust princess.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's like,
Yeah.
Adventures of Anne
it's like if they made Anne Frank a princess. If this is any consolation, if you think it's just going to bash Disney the whole entire time, you're right, it will. I even remember,
Jeremy's
like,
boobs are bigger than Taylor's.
Right.
Line! Hey guys, what's going on? It's Michael. Welcome back to the Midvale Main Street Theater podcast. I am your host, and we are just going to jump right into today's episode today. No news from Midvale Main Street Theater other than Disenchanted tickets are still on sale. We're actually 10 days out from opening at this point, which is very exciting and very cool. If you head over to the Midvale Main Street Theater's Facebook page, you can actually see some of their cast members kind of talking about their favorite princesses and favorite moments in the show and everything like that. If you read through those, it's just going to make you even more excited for this show. I can't tell you how excited I am to see these crazy princesses and all their debauchery or whatever else. So yeah, just go ahead and grab your tickets and get excited. It's going to be an awesome show. Okay, yes, and today you are listening to part 2 of my interview with Taylor and Jeremy Heaps. If you missed episode 1, go ahead and go over to my Podbean page or my Apple feed, whatever else. Grab that first episode if you'd like. But today we are actually going to jump into the latter half, I guess, of their Midvale careers. We'll talk about how those two met, kind of their ups and downs in their relationship and their shows going after the Avenue Q revival at Midvale. And yeah, we kind of just talk about how they have built their other characters, their process, especially in relationship to these revivals, and how other people have kind of taken these characters, whatever else have you. And yes, in the latter half of the episode, we actually do a newlywed game with the guests on the podcast, with kind of a theater twist, and you'll understand what I mean by that once you get to that part of the episode. Anyway, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, I guess, and enjoy part 2 of my episode with Taylor and Jeremy Heaps. So, I mean, you do the show, it closes and everything like that. You said that you were just hooked at Midvale and everything like that. The next show, I believe, and again, if I'm wrong, correct me, was Avenue Q.
Correct.
Right, okay. And so, Taylor, this is kind of where you jump back into it. So, I'm going to first get the stupid, boring stuff out of the way, and then we'll talk about how you guys met and everything like that, okay?
the dirty stuff.
Right.
Daddy.
Yeah. So cool. Jeremy, you had done the show before.
Twice.
Right. Did you play Rod in those other 2
I
performances?
did. I've only played Rod.
Okay. Okay. Was there any thought of, hey, I want to try a different thing, or did you just know this is the part for you?
I am 100% open to doing a different role. Like, she had me read for Trekkie, and she had me read for Nikki and stuff like that. But the problem is I feel like I can't do the voices of the other characters. You know, for whatever reason, Rod has just always been a part of my biology that is my voice. And so I'm able to do his voice, but when I try to go into like a Nikki voice, I just sound really stupid and out of place. It doesn't match the puppet.
Right.
And with Trekkie Monster, it's like, oh, you can't even understand him. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I wonder all the time if that's why I didn't get any big part in that show, because my Nikki sounded horrible, my Rod was terrible, all of it was just bad. But that makes sense for sure. And then Taylor, you mentioned when you first did Avenue Q, you didn't really have any preference on what role you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did that change for this next one?
Yes, I but not necessarily me wanting a different part or wanting a specific part. I kind of wanted to make my rounds and be like, all right, this time I want to play something else. I'm doing this
Right.
for fun, and I want to be able to see this show and do this show from all angles.
Yeah.
And so give me one of the other characters this time.
Right.
And I would have been fine with a Bad Idea Bear. I would have, hell, like I can do a Nikki voice. I could have done
Right.
Nikki. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, gotcha.
Talk about playing something you're not.
Right.
But yeah, I was mainly like, okay, put me as Lucy, put me as Christmas Eve, put me as Kate Monster, like, or the Bad Idea Bears, just anybody. I think it'd be really fun.
Gotcha. Cool. So ultimately you did get cast as Lucy the Slut.
Yes.
Were you excited about it? What
I
were you
was
thinking?
very excited
Okay.
about it.
Why were you excited about it?
Because I saw how much fun Ashley had playing that part. I wanted it. Just kidding. No, I thought it'd be really fun because I had gotten really good at being typecast as, like, or not being typecast, but having the type of the other woman. The whore,
The mistress.
ex-fiance
Yes.
that left someone at the altar. I played
Right.
that role twice in a row.
Right.
First date and
Sure.
wedding singer. But like I was like, I have a lot of fun playing the villain now, and so I was actually really, really excited about that.
Cool. That's awesome. So I've talked about this with other guests on the podcast, but I wanted to get your guys' view on it. This was a revival show of Midvale's. So you got on the stage knowing that other people had played these parts before. Was that any consideration? Like, what did you feel about that at all?
Not for me. So
Okay.
at that time, I had played the role in 2 different productions, and I was really, really comfortable with the way I was playing Rod.
Right.
I had seen the way that Ryan had played his version of Rod, and the one comfort that I found was that I could not do what he did. Like, just I physically cannot do the same voice, the same type of acting that he does, and he did his version well.
Right.
So that's kind of the comfort that I went in knowing I am giving a different Rod that is completely different, so I don't necessarily have to worry about people comparing the two of us, and and it's there's Edgar, he's playing with something, but
It's fine.
But I was but no, I Ryan and I have actually talked, like, hey, let's say that they ever did it again, like, would you want to, like, maybe approach and talk about, hey, is there a potential splitting of the role, that we can do, or something like that, but of course it's all up to the director and everything, but we both acknowledge that we both did different things, that we like and dislike certain things about each other's performances, and
Sure.
we're open about that.
Well, you and I have talked about that too.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
kind of deal.
Completely.
Unfortunately, I still haven't been able to see. I might have to borrow your guys' DVD
Oh, yeah,
of your
for sure.
performances. But anyway, yeah, it's always. I mean, Taylor, do you have any thoughts about that or anything?
I basically, I had a hard time not playing Ashley.
Okay.
I think we had very, very similar characters. But I think it's because I feel like she did it so well, and we are so similar, and so it was
Right.
kind of an easy grab for me.
Yeah,
it was a little bit
gotcha.
of a cop out, but I thought it was brilliant the way she did it. I of course changed some stuff, but it was just so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't even the question that you had.
Oh,
The
no.
the question about auditioning, knowing that other people had played it. Well, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I was the only one who re-auditioned that was in the previous show. I mean,
think you're right, yeah.
JJ was actually in it, but it was because he was brought in. I was
Right.
the only original cast member who auditioned for the reprisal, and I had no problem with it because I had done it before with Hairspray.
Right, sure.
I'm like, I'm going to earn another part for the show I've done before.
Gotcha. So, just a little tangent. You've done a couple revivals of these shows and everything. Do you ever feel kind of like, hey, I've been here before. Why am I doing this again at all? Do you ever feel that?
Not really. I think it's really fun to revive shows because a lot of times when you do a show and it closes and it was so good, and then you look back on it a year later and go, I would have done that differently. Well, and that really gives you the opportunity to do that differently.
Yeah, gotcha.
And even if you're not in the same role, like there are things that you can do, and it's really fun seeing how the other characters that never saw the previous show, how they portrayed their characters that they're cast as, and that's really fun
Yeah.
to see. And then of course you have those little biased opinions. No, but you should say it like the other one said it. I had
Sure.
a problem doing that. Avenue Q, I was
Well, yeah. Avenue Q is so much fun too. Yeah. Oh, Edgar's kind of just staring me down. Sorry. Yeah. Hi, Edgar. Hi. Anyway, Avenue Q, just to jump back into that, is also where you guys first met, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's when we first started like talking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay. So was it like love at first sight at a different place or what?
No, I met her. So I met the person who is Taylor in Chicago.
Okay.
I saw her just coming into some rehearsals and sitting down, giving Tammy coffee and everything. I was like, this
Right.
bitch has to be a producer or something. Like, who is she and why does she keep coming to our rehearsals?
Right.
You know, so I knew of her. And then we also had a reading in Avenue Q during the callbacks. I was reading for Nikki, and there were a couple of the other double-armed monsters. And I just called out to the audience. Like, I walked up on stage, and he's got a floppy arm sitting there. I was like, does anybody want to be my arm? And Taylor was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll be your arm.
Cool.
So her and I got to work together kind of in that process a little bit. And then just kind of as the rehearsals went on, we kind of started getting to know each other just through small jokes in the rehearsal process and everything like
Sure.
that.
And we
Gotcha.
had talked about the other people that we were dating. Like
yeah.
we actually like, oh yeah, I went on this date last night because I think we were both on like dating apps at the same time. And
She was giving me advice on how to date Steina.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh man. Well.
So yeah, it was
Very cool.
It was fun. But we actually, the first time we actually started to connect was there was a night where the entire cast was like, hey guys, Buffalo Wild Wings, you know, after the show,
Right.
ooh, you know, and so we were like, yeah, okay, that sounds like fun. So we both showed up, and the entire cast decided not to show up.
Oh.
So it kind of became a small impromptu date.
Yeah.
We hung out, we drank beers, we ate some wings and stuff like that. I actually could not pay at the time. I had just gotten out of the divorce, so she paid for my meal, and that's why I say it's officially a date. And then, but yeah, and then after that, it was just kind of like we actually were working. She played Mrs. Thistlетwat in Avenue Q. I played her arm.
Right.
So we were up at the up top together. We would talk a lot and hang out there, and then it just kind of one thing led to another, and we found ourselves dating like secretly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Cool. So was it it sounds like in Avenue Q is kind of when you guys actually started going on dates and everything like that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
secretly.
But it was
Sure.
awkward because I was dating one of the techs. At the time, it was Kira.
Oh,
I was dating one of the techs. And so,
Gotcha. So it was why it was secret, or was it?
It was more so that we didn't want. I was just getting out of my divorce had not been finalized yet. We had submitted, but there was a couple months waiting. We were both dating, and you know it was kind of like. She was dating other people who were coming to see the show. I was dating someone who was involved with the tech of the show,
Right.
And it was also
not like in a relationship.
yeah,
but
it
like
was
going on dates.
Yeah, we were
right?
going on dates, and it was. But then it was like, you know, we didn't want to throw off the dynamic of what was going on in the show because the show was running really well. We had good audience members and things, and the last thing we wanted to do was go public with a relationship, and then all of a sudden, whether it be positive or negative, you know, people pissed off because, oh, well, you didn't tell me you were in a relationship, or the opposite being, oh my God, you guys are so cute.
Right.
Let's make a big fucking deal about it.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm sure you guys have experienced, you and Ashley.
Unfortunately,
Because we didn't even know how we really felt
Yeah.
throughout the rehearsal process and like the first week of the show. We were kind of like, we admitted to each other later on. I was like, I actually changed my route from scene to scene every once in a while because I knew you'd be behind that wall, and I walked past you, or I got
very
to
cool.
see your scene or something, or I knew the intermission I went outside because you were out there, and like that kind of stuff.
That's
and
cute.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
we kind of just like tried to secretly cross each other's paths a lot. This is before we knew, and you never want to announce a relationship before you know that it's
right.
that it's going to stick before you know.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in the theater setting.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to
Exactly.
have to be in rehearsals with this person.
Well,
you
we
know?
were open with that too. We were like, you know, this could be a showman's. Like,
Right,
there's so many
sure.
situations where you're like, these are the only people you're around. You become infatuated, and then after you leave the show and you're not seeing them as often, it's like, well, like, then it fizzles out. We're done, you know. And that we've all had that happen before, and so we didn't want that to be the situation with us.
Right. Gotcha. Sure. So, do you know why it wasn't a showman's? Were you guys just into each other that much,
He was
or
like the best rebound ever.
Yeah.
okay? It's funny that you say that because Ashley and I have been, you know, say someone has said that we were rebounds for each other too.
Well,
so
yeah.
it's kind of funny.
I helped with that too, by the way.
Oh, cool.
East Canyon.
No, we
Yes. Maybe we'll tell that story later, but
we completely own that we were each other's rebounds. And so, yeah, it was one of those situations where it's like, we want to make sure that it is the real deal. And then I think it was, for me at least, it was how she interacted with my kids. And as cheesy as an answer as that sounds,
no, that's not cheesy at all.
but you know, I had children from my previous relationship, and I had been dating a couple girls at the time, and the big problem was that my kids didn't mesh with them, and they just could not find that chemistry, and it was always awkward. But with Taylor, my kids gravitated to her, and they absolutely loved being around her, and that's kind of when I knew, all right, this is kind of the real thing,
right?
You know,
well, if you can't trust your kids' judgment,
exactly,
who can you? You know, so that also makes sense.
He actually made a joke. During the rehearsal process, he had to bring the girls. This is when I first met them. Mm-hmm. He had to bring the girls to a rehearsal just because of like a miscommunication with custody, and he had to bring them to a rehearsal. I wasn't on stage at the time, but he was choreographing a song.
Yeah, okay.
And
puppet choreography.
And these two little girls were just bawling their eyes out, throwing tantrums because their daddy was on stage and they couldn't be up there too. And I sat and I colored with them.
Gotcha.
And I just remember him looking at me and be like, "Hey, you're still
Wait,
single,
what?"
right?"
Yeah.
And it was a joke, but then he's like, I told him that I would, I'd pretend to be their mom if he would take me to Disneyland or something. And I'm like, we can even do the cheesy matching outfits at like matching yellow plaid or whatever at Disneyland, and I'll sleep in the same room. I don't care. Just take me to Disneyland and I'll pretend to be their mom and I'll pretend to be your wife.
Gotcha. I love it. Well, that's awesome. That's very cool. I mean, you guys dated and you still kept doing shows together.
Yeah.
You guys were in Rock of Ages next, I think,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That was actually the show that almost broke us up.
Okay. Do you want to tell that story?
Let's do it,
Or
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was just the rehearsal process was. I mean, I believe that the bigger cast that you have, the less control that you have.
Yes.
You know, you've got so many moving body parts and everything. Our choreographer at the time, they were two choreographers, but both of them were kind of going through rough patches in their lives, and so the communication aspect was a little off. And then, you know, so we had a lot of frustrated actors, frustrated production teams, and everything like that, and it kind of bled into our relationship where we were having a lot of different fights. And so, yeah, Rock of Ages almost broke us up. We actually did at one point, like unbeknownst to the public, we did break up for a period of time for like a day or two. And then we kind of came back, talked, and got back together. But it was it was a really, really tough show on us emotionally.
Sure.
Still a good show. We enjoyed the experience and it was fun, but it was definitely taxing.
Well, it's like when something is really challenging and you think it's so bad for your relationship, and then sometimes like you don't realize that it actually brings you closer together after the fact.
Definitely.
And I think what happened was him and I were so comfortable together, and you know how it is when you're really comfortable with somebody. They get the brunt of your stress because they are comfortable with you.
Right.
You get home and it's free to panic. It's free to have, I call it adult tantrum hour.
Sure.
The hour, like from 6 to 7, and we would just complain. And then if we had a slight disagreement, we'd be complaining about different things. And you just have that added stress of you're both learning the same thing. And it's just, you have like the slightest disagreement can throw you into a panic attack and an argument.
Right.
And mainly just because you want to open up to this person. And so,
Sure. No, that all makes sense for sure. It's very true. Sometimes theater, it takes a toll on relationships and everything. I'm actually kind of surprised at how few couples come out of theater. I think we're the only two really that have met at Midvale. Is that correct?
I think so.
I mean, there have been others that haven't panned out, I guess. Yeah.
What about like JJ and Pam? I think that, did they meet because they were in Chicago together. Did they meet at the theater?
They probably did.
They probably met
Probably.
at the theater.
Yeah.
They probably met at the theater. Yeah, they're a theater couple.
Yeah, and those guys are going to Disneyland together and everything like that.
I know.
So, yeah, that's great.
Bastards.
Right. Well, I was going to ask then, because how am I going to put this? What role, how does theater make your guys' relationship better? Just to kind of flip that kind of discussion.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, I'll go. I'll leave now. That's the end of the interview.
That's it. How it makes us better, like, as a couple.
I feel like it shows, it's like the perfect way for us to both have our outlet, but at the same time, we're both constantly able to support each other. Because of that. Sometimes it's hard when you're both in the same show and you're trying to support each other.
Right.
But it's also really fun because when you get home, this is the up and the down to it. You're both ranting and raving about the same thing. You're either complimenting the same thing or you're complaining about the same thing, or one or the other, or both of you differently. But a lot of the times it's you share the same experience when you're at the same show.
Right.
Or at the same
So it almost teaches you how to communicate with the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, with us, like Spelling Bee, for example, that was a show where we were both we were both in the show, but it was a really, really positive experience because we were supporting one another's character. The main thing that we worked on was the spelling.
Yeah.
Like those words,
Those words
especially
are
as
crazy.
you get into Act 2,
Yeah.
is like, oh my God, like I don't even know how I'm going to spell this word. And
Yep.
so we would bounce spelling off of each other, and we would she would work on her lisp, and I would we would talk about why we're doing character choices, or we would ask each other feedback of, okay, you're sitting at this perspective now. I'm not sure if it's reading on stage, and type of situation. And we would work with Tammy, the director, and we would work with each other. And and we actually, for that show, her and I were on the same harmony.
The same exact harmonies
Oh, really?
for all of the
That's
songs.
super nice.
So it was really nice
Yeah.
that I would record the part during music rehearsals, and then we'd come home and listen to the same recording, and that
Right.
made it so easy.
Super
Because every
nice.
other show, it's really hard
Yeah.
to practice your part, because he'll be like. He'll be upstairs listening to his part, and like we have to really separate ourselves if we're in the same show singing different harmonies,
Right.
Because I'll be listening to him listening to his recordings, and I'll be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I start knowing his part, and
Yeah.
then he picks up on my part, and then like we.
So yeah, the fact that we were on the same part, it allowed us to practice together and to
Right.
like be on the same page. And
It was really fun.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
we carried each other.
Yeah.
With that.
Cool. Perfect. Well, I mean, that does just lead right into Spelling Bee as your next show together. So that's perfect. Again, this is another revival. I'm not going to ask you the same question, but how did you build the characters? Like, what choices did you make and why, I guess?
I fully own that I copied you. Like you were the original William Barfay.
Sure. And that's who you played in the revival.
That's who I played. And so the one thing that Tammy told me, because I actually approached her with some insecurity, saying, "Hey, I don't know how I'm going to be doing this like Michael did." Right? I thought he did an excellent
Crazy,
job. And she was like, and her response to me, she was like, "Don't try to, because you can't be Michael." And I was like, "Oh damn, okay, that's yeah,
I mean, it's
okay."
true, not in the
the
way
same-
you're trying to
She
say
said the
it,
same thing
but
to me with Erica.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she was like, you just got to create your own character and do what you got to
Right.
do. So
I agree with you, but it's because we're different people,
Exactly.
rather than one
Exactly.
or the other. Yeah.
You can't,
So-
it's not you can't be as good as that.
Exactly.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was trying to mimic you because I saw it live. I saw Spelling Bee live, and I really, really liked the character that you brought. And so I was trying. There's a couple things like the whole sour creme and everything like that. I totally stole that from you. I'll own that.
I don't even know where
I
that
taught
came
him.
from.
I taught him how to do the of coeth.
Yeah, I did
Right.
keep the up
It's like a 3-syllable word.
And then there was an ad lib of like, "Mom, is it Barfay or Barfy?" I don't even know anymore. Like I kept that. So there was a couple things of yours that I copied, and then after that, just kind of finding my own character, because I realized that you played it a very upfront character. Like you were like, don't fuck with me. Like,
Right.
that was the character that read, and you were like, don't fuck with me. I'm not gonna be fucked with. This,
You were aggressive because of your insecurities.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way that Tommy Kulkas played Chip Tolentino in that show versus Garrett Grigg, who played it in your production. He played Garrett. He was like really, he was Chip, but he was like snooty and sassy
Right.
and everything like that.
Sure.
And then Tommy came in, and Tommy was more of the, he was a bully. Like he for whatever reason, like he was a bully, and he owned it. He was like, I don't know where this character is coming from, but I just want to mess with you. And so we were like, all right, let's run with it. And so in our production, Chip became Barfy's bully. And
Interesting.
Because of that, and because of the way that he was being treated, my character, I found, was very internal and
Right.
very like I was hiding half the time. And it then allowed me to kind of, find that character like midway through the show when who did Riley play? Ken's
Olive.
character,
Olive.
It was it allowed me to open up a little bit and become more confident as the character when he started realizing his feelings for Olive.
Right.
So yeah,
Cool.
it was kind of weird though, because I was like, I'm trying to mimic Michael, but at the same time, I'm a completely different character and I can't mimic Michael.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. No, I love it. Just to kind of go again on a tangent, and I apologize, we'll get back to you in just
No,
one
you're good.
second. But for me, the hardest part for Barfay, besides the accent and the lisp and everything, that was the biggest challenge for me. But for me, that part that you're talking about when Barf and Olive kind of come together, that trying to find like the sympathetic part of my character that I built in that was really hard.
Yeah.
So like I listened to how you talk about it and I was like, maybe I should have done it like Jeremy, because that, that brings him into like because my goal was to try and get people to root for Barf at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like you would have an easier time to do that. And so like, I wonder if like, maybe we need to collaborate more. Like everybody needs to talk about these things a little more, and we can.
Honestly, I think
build
that we
it.
have such an amazing group of friends. I mean, this is a tangent too.
Right.
I agree with you on the voice thing, by the way. I studied Daffy Duck.
Right.
But I've talked with Todd and Todd McRae about this a lot too. I said we have such an amazingly talented group of people with so many different talents in our group that if we wanted to, we could honestly start our own theater troupe, and we could like go in and use our different talents to do so. I don't think any of us have the capital to do such,
Right.
But
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. But no, we have an incredibly talented group of people, and it amazes me. Like when I met Ashley during Chicago, and I've seen her play various roles that I didn't even know it was her at the time. I did not know that you played the lead in Legally Blonde either, even though I was
really?
involved with that. And
Gotcha.
Same with Allie and everything. You
Yeah.
know? And to see all of our friends just take on these different faces and these different characters and really make it their own, it amazes me, because from other theater companies that I've been involved with, you've got the character, but there's always that base, right? There's always the, oh yeah, you played that the same way as this other character,
Right.
type of thing. But what amazes me is that our group of friends can come in with one role and then another role and be completely different.
Definitely.
I love it.
Very
Sorry,
cool.
tangent.
No, that tangent leads into Taylor. Same question. How did you approach Logan? Logan, I guess is how you pronounce it. Logan is how it's spelled, I think.
Logan.
But, yeah.
I was really nervous. I didn't see myself as this part because I remember it was actually funny. When we were getting ready for callbacks, I got my sides and I was like, okay, I'm doing Logan. Okay. And I realized I knew all the other songs except for Logan's. And so I was really nervous. And so I studied and tried and tried to get it perfect. And apparently it worked. Because I got that
you got
part,
it.
and
Yep.
I was like, that was the part that I was the most nervous about. Yet the other two, I royally fucked up, and so because I was so confident with those ones, and so I'm like, all right, okay, I'm Logan. Oh shit, I'm Erica. And I remembered how amazing her, because I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I first saw. Because I don't know if you remember, I saw Spelling Bee so many times. I was there almost every single night.
Gotcha.
Seeing you guys.
Yeah.
And I remember telling people I would not cast this show any other way. If I were to be in this show, I originally said I didn't want to be in the show because I don't think I could do it better than the way you guys did it. And it turns out I could do it way better.
Jordan.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Jordan's amazing.
And then Jordan, I was like, I won't do it unless Jordan is playing Panch again.
I'm going to talk about him in just a second. So put a pin in that.
But it was really hard because I'm like, I look nothing like Erica. I look, so I went in there like kind of really insecure. And then on top of that, learning how to stage lisp, which is different. Like my lisp
Right.
was different than yours. Mine was, I had to learn to not lisp on the SHs, but just on the S's.
Interesting.
It was Washington, D.C. Because
Okay.
otherwise, if you turn to your SHs, you can't understand a damn word.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. It didn't play off as well on stage. But I kind of built the character based on a little bit of what I was like when I was younger.
Okay.
What I noticed like when I was younger is all the things that I feel like today made me unique. And I thought when I was younger too, I was like, I have this unique thing and it makes me really cool. And I got made fun of for it. You know, kind of like Logan's parents are, or she has 2 dads and she has her BM, you know, her birth
Right.
mom. And, you know, that's pretty cool. But, you know, she got bullied for it. And a bunch of different things that like you look at a kid nowadays and you say that kid is so weird and awesome.
Right.
But that kid, because he has that, he or she has those unique things, that's what you get made fun of because kids are mean. And I was bullied quite a bit, like when I was younger. So I kind of tuned into my 6th grade self.
Gotcha.
Who got bullied quite a bit. And I was the 6th grade kid that got big boobs. So it's like you look back now and you're like, that's actually pretty cool. I was
Not in a
proud of
creepy way,
them.
but
I was
yeah.
proud of them when I was that age, but I got made fun of for them.
Right.
Because it was abnormal.
Yeah.
And I even remember
Jeremy's
like,
boobs are bigger than Taylor's. Right.
I even remember like little things like, when I was younger, my mom had this like cool vitamin oil, and I would use it as like a lip gloss because I was like, it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. I had this awesome lip gloss that was actually really good, you know, and I got made fun of for using it, even though, you know, because everybody else was using lip smackers or
Right.
you know, Wet and Wild, and I had this vitamin oil. But yeah, I tapped into her quite a bit, and I feel like I made her really, really personal and personable and relatable.
Cool.
And which is kind of difficult to find that fine line in a satirical show when every single character in that show is a satirical version of a type of person.
Right.
Like you have the germaphobe. You guys both played basically Chucky from Rugrats.
I love that comparison. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. For me, I'm more of a character actor than whatever else, but I still have to find what attaches me to that character. There's no other way to do it. I feel like
no matter what you're playing, you have to find the honesty behind the character.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's even if you're playing a puppet or if you're playing this, you're playing a 12-year-old and you're almost 30. You know, it's
Right.
You have to find something about that character that kind of brings it to
Definitely.
that truth. You know.
Yeah, so that's very cool. So I was going to ask you then about you guys brought him up, Jordan Dixon,
Yes.
who played Vice Principal Panch. Describe working with him, if you could.
Oh, so hard to keep a straight face.
It was a trip.
The
Honestly. I was like-
rehearsals were hard not to laugh.
When
Yeah.
when I met him, I know that he is, as far as I know, a religious man. He's a member of the church, and he's known for his improv and everything like that. So I was kind of expecting a little bit of a staunchier guy, you know, and then all of a sudden there was one rehearsal where we were just kind of ad-libbing back and forth between he and I. There was like this thing going on where somebody forgot a line, and so he and I were just like filling this thing, and all of a sudden the N-word came out, and we didn't know where to go with it, and so all of a sudden we were mentioning a second Holocaust and everything, and I'm like, and then finally Tammy just like, okay, stop, where did we miss? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I love it. Oh man, I just ask because he's so good at improv. He's just like, he kills me. Was that hard at all for you guys to improv either with him or with each other, whatever else?
I've known Jordan for a long time, so for me, I know sometimes where he's going to go with something. So it's fun for me to bounce back and forth with him. But he had this thing, like during the show, he would like look at me and I'm gonna break you one of these nights. He would try.
Well, he was really courteous in that aspect though, because like there were some moments where he was like, you know, he would just kind of run with it, and then your job is just not to laugh. And you know, he and I actually got into talking about how we find our character voices and everything like that, and we were both on the same page there. But he was really respectful as an actor, saying, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to try something new tonight. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but just be prepared. I'm doing something different." And it's like, all right. All right.
No, he did the same with me. Even during intermission, like halfway through a show, sometimes he'll come up to me and be like, "Hey, coming up here, just expect the unexpected."
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
He was very respectful in that aspect. It
Yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah.
For sure. Did you guys ever have any kind of? It sounds like you were pretty comfortable with the improv, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Taylor, was that something that
I
you?
was totally comfortable with it.
Okay, cool.
Because I know him.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, last thing I wanted to touch on with spelling bee. You guys had an interesting review of
Yes.
spelling bee. I to date this show is going to come out before I discuss reviews on shows, and I talk a lot about this review in particular, but not to talk about the particulars. How do you guys deal with negative reviews in general? Do you do anything about it at all?
For me, I've actually not really paid too much attention to reviews. This one, of course, caught my eye because it just ripped the show apart. But the
I don't know if it does.
But it was an obnoxiously not even true. What were you thinking? Were you writing it with a crayon kind of way?
Right.
So it was funny. It was
Well,
so untrue that it was funny.
Right. I say that like it doesn't rip apart the show because half of it is just like where the hell did that come from
Right,
kind of
right,
Did you
thing.
make that up?
Yeah.
And then he stopped
So,
like mid sentence and didn't
yeah.
finish.
Yeah, there was, but for me, I used to follow reviews really, really heavily in my young career, and I was actually fortunate enough that I've very rarely done ensemble. I've always been kind of put as a secondary character or as a lead role, and so I was a little spoiled in that aspect, and I've always been mentioned in reviews. And so I would go in and I would kind of take, I would really, really take to heart every negative review that I ever got. And at a certain point, I just stopped caring because I realized that I had literally 200 people who would walk up to me after a show and tell me that, oh my God, you were great. I've gotten comments like you were better than Broadway, which I think is
Right.
BS, but and then like, you get all of these positives, but then we focus on this one guy who's honestly probably ego-based and just like really happy to have a pen to paper. Decided that they didn't like me.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I don't really care. This is for my own personal development. I'm coming in to develop my own career, if you want to call it a career, my own character, my own person. And so you cannot like it. You can like it. I'm not going to take what you say with a grain of salt. What happens between me and my character is between me and the director. So that's kind of how I feel about those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mine is sort of, it's one person's opinion, and opinions on shows are subjective. And it's always nice to hear a positive review. And,
Sure.
and obviously, anytime it's usually at the beginning of the show, hopefully, that you get it, like when you're in your first weekend. And no matter what, you can't really avoid it, but you're going to be backstage getting ready the next night, and somebody's reading it out loud. So you're going to
Right.
hear it a lot of
Yeah.
the time, regardless whether you want to or not.
And, reviews have been proven to flop too. I mean, wasn't there that recent scandal with the
Utah theater bloggers?
Utah theater bloggers, where that one reviewer came out and like Facebook went hardcore up his ass because he was like about like how
That was bullshit though.
That
That
was-
review was
exactly
atrocious.
It was completely atrocious and bullshit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
they allow those types of people in any organization to be
Yeah.
reviewers, and it just shows that not everybody knows what they're talking about. And
Right.
Well,
Sure.
and that's like close to what I was about to say too. When it comes to when it's one person's opinion, it's not just their opinion. It's you're hearing their relationship with theater. You're hearing their experience because they've seen not everybody has seen the same amount of shows or the same shows in certain areas or different theater companies. If somebody has only ever seen shows at this one theater, and that theater's like not particularly good, they're gonna see any production of mine and think it is like close to God,
Right.
And or vice versa. If they see something from a much more experienced actor and then they see me, they're gonna, so it depends on that person's relationship, and that's probably the wrong word, but I'm gonna say relationship with theater itself, and
that's a
because
great word.
everybody's perspective is different, and their opinions are made based on their experiences and or lack thereof.
Right.
I agree.
And so
Sure.
if somebody knows nothing about theater, they are allowed to be a reviewer.
Cool.
Still. So.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Like I say, we're recording this before my episode about reviews comes out, but it's just you guys have similar yet different thoughts that I do. So it's just cool to kind of pick your brain on that. But anyway, jumping back into your guys' shows, you just wrapped up Mamma Mia.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go?
It
It
was
was
good.
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 Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
The cast was very, very talented. Actually, it was probably one of the more talented ensemble groups that I've had the pleasure of performing with. And I felt like the dynamic between all of everybody meshed well for the most part. Of course, there's always bumps with certain people, but it's for the most part the show meshed well, and I feel like it was a success.
There was hardly any backstage drama either.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to gauge like what is successful without seeing numbers and everything. I'm somebody who says if you came out with a profit, it's a success. But,
Sure.
But yeah, the community seemed to love it. We went and supported the other one that were right across the street.
At the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy to me still. I don't like it's not. Why did they get the rights after Tammy got them is the question for
Yeah.
me. But I was going to ask, and you kind of touched on this a little bit. When I went around for closing night and did our podcast episode for that, everyone still loved each other.
Yeah.
You guys had 30 plus people in your cast, right?
Yes. He
How?
was 32.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. But how did you deal with that, even just in regards to claustrophobia, and
We
all
would
the
recluse.
personalities?
Yeah, I think that's actually accurate. A lot of people reclused. It was just there were people who would there were certain people who would hang in the wings like the entire show. They would just chill out in the wings.
Yeah.
Color by number saved my life.
There were people who there were a handful of us that would go outside between our scenes to have a quick smoke break, and then there were people who kind of just stayed at their stations, and like the leads stayed at their stations in the other area. And so I think that it just became everybody found where they were comfortable and kind of just respected each other's
Everyone kind of
spaces.
had the same exact route too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like
You knew
mapped
at
our
this
routes.
point you would be passing this person, and if you didn't pass that person, you second guessed what scene was next.
Right.
Oh, there,
Gotcha.
there was actually one. It was funny. A little tangent here, but Sam Morford, she's adorable in every way. I view her like a little sister. But she realized on stage that she forgot to put on Spanx.
Oh, no.
And so she had
no.
and she had tan underwear on too. So she was about to just flash everybody
Yeah.
on stage. And
Oops.
so she ran back really quick. She found an
Wow.
opportunity on stage. She ran back super, super fast. But all the guys are just sitting here. We're chilling in the room, and all of a sudden Sam runs out, and we're so used to passing her on our way out
Right.
that every single man went fuck. And then, like, we all jumped up and we ran out to onto the wings, and then we stopped.
Yeah.
And then, wait.
That's awesome.
And then Sam comes running back out, and I was like,
What the
were
hell?
you-" I was like, what were you doing? And she's like, I can't talk. And she like runs out on stage,
Wow.
and we were all confused. Like, why did we just see Sam?
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
Well, and when it comes to like how did we deal with the backstage, dealing with that big of a cast, Jeremy and I would come home and not talk for like an hour to 2 hours,
Wow.
and that was just our unspoken agreement. We would just be on our phones,
Yeah.
or just watch something. We didn't want to watch any of our shows that we're so used to watching. We put on something mindless, and that was like it was basically our code word for I need to zone out for a little
Right.
bit. I'd say, do you want to watch something, or do you want to zone out, or do you want to watch something mindless? And so we'd put on something mindless most nights, and then we would just sit on our phones, and then like 2 hours later, be like, hey, how are you doing? and then because we are both introverted people, we are both introverts totally. Like I'm an INFJ, he is an INTJ, and
INFP over here.
right. And
Other
so
people are like LMNOP.
Yeah, exactly.
and so it's good that we have that for each other, because
Yeah.
there'd be some nights that one of us isn't feeling as introverted as the other and wants to talk, and the other one's just like, shut the hell up, go away.
Yeah. It's
always me.
Like usually the code for like if the other person's wanting to talk and chat and vent and stuff, and the other person doesn't, I'd be like, I'm gonna go take a bath.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I get you.
or,
Yeah.
no, don't open the door. It's cold.
Right.
I'm in a business mindset.
I'm in a business mindset, so I'm gonna do some stuff on my phone and
Gotcha. Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, American Idiot was half your guys' cast. We ran for a week and a half, and that still drained me. So I just don't know how you guys did it.
5 weeks.
Oh, it was a good show. though.
Yeah, it was a great show.
It was bittersweet when it closed. It was
Sure.
like, I had so much fun, but I was also like really ready for it to be over because I had
run.
just because it was a long run. That's
Right,
it.
sure. Well, so then why, like after that, what brought you into Disenchanted, which is what you're doing now?
I asked her the same thing.
Because I am a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And it just sounded so fun.
Mm.
And it's never, it's the Utah premiere.
Right.
And I've just, it just always seemed so much fun because I am all about like crass satirical humor.
Sure.
And so when you're coming from a show that's Mamma Mia,
Right.
that's the opposite
Yeah.
of crass satirical, that's jukebox. And so this one, I'm like, okay, I need to swear on stage or something.
Right.
Like,
I gotcha. Love it.
I've had enough family friendly for today.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, talk about it then, because I don't really know much about Disenchanted. Kind of tell me about it. Like, what's the storyline, all that kind of thing.
So it's basically all of these princesses. There are copyright issues, and so you have like the princess who kissed the frog.
Right.
And I'm not Ariel. I am the Little Mermaid.
Right. Okay.
And what's really cool about my character is I'm like an alcoholic Southern girl that's kind of fed up with her. Like she has her regrets.
Right.
Let's just say she gave up her life with a tail for a prince and a pair of legs, and she hates her legs.
Gotcha.
And so I have a song called Two Legs, and it's hilarious. It's so much fun.
Awesome.
And but basically all these princesses are coming together and like, so listen, we don't like how our stories have been told. And it actually touches on Pocahontas. She has a song that is actually it's an emotional song, and it's like the tearjerker of the show.
Right.
And about why can't her story, it's called Honestly. And it's, about like, why can't my story be told honestly? Because Disney basically polishes a turd and
Oh my
says,
gosh.
look at this little princess.
It's not even the same
and she's
story.
like, that is
Right.
not what happened to me.
Right.
This is like, people don't know me because of this. And
Yeah.
The best way to cover up genocide ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like if they were to come out with like the Holocaust princess.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
The Adventures of Anne
It's
Frank.
like if they made Anne Frank a princess, that would basically be
Yeah. So yeah, it's
man.
the music's really fun though.
Really?
so much fun.
Yeah, I don't have too much involvement with like the show itself when it comes to like I don't know what the script is at all. But being that it is an off-Broadway production, an empty pit, and everybody haven't been able to get their hands on it. I think are they still selling the rights like individually?
Yes.
Okay,
So
yeah.
actually, the creator of the show is actually in full communication with Tammy,
Awesome.
the director, and so
Yeah, so but they sell the rights off of their website. You don't go to
Wow.
to an
like
agency.
purchase rights
Right.
here.
Don't go to MTI or
Yeah.
Samuel French or anything.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
So-
probably a big chance that he will come fly out and see the show.
That's awesome.
I'm assuming.
Maybe. Yeah.
I would.
He did
if
when
I
it
were
was in
him, but,
Idaho.
Right. Gotcha.
And but the show didn't come with music tracks
Hmm.
at all. So Tammy approached me and was like, "Hey, do you still have that software that makes music?" I was like, yeah, it's buried here somewhere.
Gotcha.
We were able to find it. It still works, and so
Nice.
I'm creating the music tracks for their rehearsal process. I think they're going to be doing live music, but
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
but for the rehearsal process of when they can't afford to keep band members
Right.
consistently coming to rehearsal, so. I've been creating their minus tracks for them, and the music is actually really, really good. Like from a, I guess like a logistical standpoint, and from looking at like, hey, this is actually really well written. This is
Yeah.
fun.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah,
Although
gotcha.
I'm doing it deaf though, because like I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm just going to write
the notes
the
in.
exact way that it's written in here, and then like Alec, the music director, will come back and go. Yeah, so that's not how we need to play it. It needs to be a lot
Gotcha.
slower.
Gotcha.
I think what happened, and I think they came out and admitted it, that it was they made up the music, they played the music, and then they're like, shit, we need to write it down.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah, if you're playing the music to a show you wrote, you don't have sheet music.
Yeah.
You wrote it. You know how to play it. And
so-
My band had the same problem. We're so bad at writing stuff down that we just lost half our songs even. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
And so it's a lot of the times it's like we'll play a track and go, wait, no, and it's exactly how it's written too.
but it doesn't sound correct.
Right.
It doesn't sound correct at
Gotcha.
all, but and it doesn't match like the soundtrack or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's
a lot of fun. Sounds
it's
like.
a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it's basically the three leads are Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of Snow White is basically the narrator
Okay.
and the one who moves the story along, and it's she's letting all the princesses tell their actual story.
Right.
And,
Cool.
It's really fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to come see it for sure. If there's any like one thing in particular that you can tell me about why people should come see the show, what would you say?
Oh, it'll be a hell of a good time.
Hell of a
and
good time.
if this is any consolation, if you think it's just gonna bash Disney the whole entire time, you're right. It will.
Okay.
But at the same time, Disney World came and saw the show when it was on, when the off Broadway show opened, and they approved. They thought it was hilarious. They
Mm-hmm. Good.
thought it was so good. They're like, I love this. It's like if South Park made fun of you, wouldn't you be honored?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
so they actually appreciated it. They thought it was really funny. And so basically, if you were like a 90s Disney kid or anything, you're going to love the show, especially
Awesome.
if you like this crass kind of humor and
Right.
it kind of blended into your adult life. It's really fun.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, let's just take one more break here.
Okay.
And then I wanted to come back and wanted to play a little game with you guys really
Okay.
quick.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I like games.
All right. We'll be back in just one second. Like what you're hearing? Please remember to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or wherever else you're listening. Also, remember to find us on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and now on YouTube at MMST Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, take 3. We are back. So for this last little segment here, I thought it might be fun to do a newlywed game, but with a little theater twist with my contestants. How does that sound to you guys?
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So yes, if the basic premise of the game obviously is I'm going to ask, let's say, Jeremy a question. I'm going to ask him a question, and he's going to guess what Taylor is going to answer, if that makes sense.
And I'm
So-
going to write down my answer.
Yes, Taylor's going to write down her answer beforehand, so there's no cheating of any kind. But anyway, yeah, with all you guys get that? It all
Yeah.
makes sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so first I'm going to have Taylor write down her answer, and Jeremy, the question is very easy one, probably.
Okay.
What is Taylor's favorite role that she's ever played? Whenever,
Those moments I think I know, but at the same
Right.
time,
There's always a
Same
little
for
bit
me,
of-
though. I think I know, but my answer changes
Right.
sometimes.
I'm going to just go with what the obvious is and say Tracy. I don't know how to say her last name. Tracy Turnblad. Blad?
Blad.
Blad.
Yes. Okay. And that's what she wrote.
Tracy Turnblad.
Woohoo! 1 point for Jeremy.
You know, funny thing behind that is I thought their family was Jewish because of that. What's his name? Oh, more cowbell.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Right.
That's right. So he was in the movie. I thought their family was Jewish. I thought
Gotcha.
it was Turnblad. So.
That's funny. Oh, man. Well, cool. So Jeremy got 1 point there. Okay, so next question goes to Taylor. Jeremy's going to write down his answer. What is Jeremy's worst experience on stage?
My
Oh.
worst experience.
Oh.
on
It doesn't have to be a
stage.
role. It's like just take
Okay.
that however you want it.
All right.
Okay, go for it.
Bridge of Doom.
Bridge of Doom.
That's
Brigadoon.
no, unfortunately not.
Uh-oh.
Broke my hand on stage during Guys and Dolls.
You broke your hand on stage?
Yeah.
What happened?
My I was chilling out on set. You know, it was a kind of a poorly designed set. This is
Mm.
back when I was really young, and I'm just chilling. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the sign fell right on my wrist, and it was a
jeez.
cardboard like plywood sign. So it just went.
Gotcha. Oh.
No, there was a Seinfeld on your wrist.
Yeah. And so I was just sitting here, and I was like, oh, that hurt, you know. And then,
Yeah.
and then I walked off stage, and it was getting really bad. And I went into the doctor. They're like, yeah, you broke your pinky.
Shoot. Gotcha. Well, cool. So, unfortunately, Taylor, no point there.
No point.
But the game is young. So, here we go. Next one. Jeremy, what is Taylor's dream role that she hasn't played yet?
Ooh.
I know this one.
You've got a couple.
There's one in particular.
I'm gonna look like a bad husband if you don't give me a hint. Okay, so one in particular, she wants to play. I don't know the name of the character, but
Okay.
the lead role in Waitress.
Oh, I don't either, but
Jenna and Waitress.
that's what Jeremy's guess is, and
That's in my top 2, but I
Top
chose
2.
Lady of the Lake.
Oh, I did
perfect.
I
I
did
need
know that
That's-
to
one.
play her,
Gotcha.
but I also need to. I wasn't even thinking about that one, but yes,
I do.
Yeah.
I
you're
do
right,
need
but
to-
I didn't write that down.
I did know that
No
one.
point.
I'm
Sure.
bad.
it's all good. Okay, no point there. So, next, here we go. Taylor, this is a good one. What is Jeremy's dream role if he did it gender bent?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Am I supposed to know this? Have
Actually,
you
I don't
even
This is
think
thought
so.
a
about
this
it?
is an obscure one for
Okay.
sure. So
Okay. I will. Actually, I know exactly who I want to play. I'm trying. Okay.
Think louder, honey.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh.
cool. What do you think, Taylor?
Ooh.
Let's work back. What's his favorite show? Do you know?
He's staring at me. Dang it.
Am I allowed to give a hint?
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
give me a
It's an
hint.
Idina Menzel role.
Oh. I know exactly what it is,
'Kay.
actually.
Here we go.
It's from If Then, the girl on If Then.
There you go. Yeah.
Is
Beth,
it?
Beth from In the If
Beth
Then.
from If
Yes!
Then. Cool. Perfect. Have you seen that show at all? I've heard the music, obviously.
Yeah,
but-
I have not seen it, but
Okay.
I've seen bootlegs.
He's like, yeah.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I have not.
No, I have not.
right.
Yeah, no.
No, I was super curious about it, but yeah,
The rights are available. I wish a theater here in Utah would do it. Wink, wink.
I plan on going into this later. We need to break the freaking mold of the Utah shows. I'm so sick
Just
of it. at this
legalized
point.
Prop 2. Why is nobody doing Reefer Madness?
Reefer Madness,
That
bring
seems
it to the
very
stage.
obvious to me. Yeah,
I know.
for sure. Anyway, okay. So Jeremy is answering. Taylor's writing it down.
Okay.
What is Taylor's worst audition experience?
Like,
I don't know if you know this. There's so many.
there's so many.
There's
Whatever.
so many.
She has all these
Okay,
parts.
I'm
Oh,
just
that's how
gonna,
bad at
I'm just
auditioning.
gonna name one of them. Hold on. Let me write it down first.
Worst audition experience.
Boom, 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 boom.
Okay,
No.
Okay, I'm ready.
I
Okay.
am going to go with spelling bee.
Okay.
I think that was that.
You're an asshole.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't even remember.
I don't mean to bring it.
Shortly after this podcast, they divorced.
Exactly. Oh, Midvale Main Street Theater's ruining homes since 2018.
What is it? What is it?
What was so bad about my audition?
You just complained about your audition.
Oh, okay.
You were like, it was Logan's.
No, he's not saying that you had a bad audition.
Yeah, it
He's
was-
saying that you
okay.
thought it was.
So mine was rewind to my first audition ever when I was an idiot, and I auditioned for Tracy Turnblad with "Good Morning Baltimore."
Ah, gotcha.
Because I told you I had
Right.
I had no experience auditioning,
Yeah.
so I'm like, but hey, it worked.
Sure, of
But
course.
also, I look back now and cringe.
Yeah, that's. I mean, some people are okay with it though, so I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah.
So,
I always,
yeah.
if I know I'm like perfect for the role, which is so egotistical of me to say, I will sing the song. I don't.
Gotcha.
Even give a
Which is
shit.
why you've
Yeah.
never done that before,
Yeah.
huh? I'm just kidding.
Oh man. Okay, so next, this one is for Taylor. Jeremy's writing. What is Jeremy's hardest role that he's ever had to play?
Ooh. Crap. Oh.
Actually, you know what?
Oh, I know.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
You were in the show with Garrett. Was it like Willard or something? What was the name of the character you played?
No, you're half right.
Was it in Brigadoon? It was in Brigadoon.
It was.
It was
in
It
Brigadoon.
was Tommy and Brigadoon.
Yes,
Gotcha.
because you were cast as like a total belter.
Well,
like,
Oh,
it was.
gotcha.
It was. I mean, the songs weren't hard. They were in my range and everything. But it was I'm used to sitting here being like Rod from Avenue Q and Barfy and everything. But then all of a sudden, I'm like,
Leading
now
man.
I am the man who
Right.
falls in love.
we're like waiting for a punchline.
Yeah.
It was really hard because I mean, number one, it was at a theater that doesn't really produce great shows. Won't say the name,
Sure.
but my counterpart, we weren't really into it. Like she had a jealous husband, and he wasn't cool with us kissing
gotcha.
on stage and stuff. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I'm supposed to be the leading love interest, and I've never played this type of role
Yep.
before.
Yep.
So, you know,
Again, I talk about this in the episode that is going to air just before your guys's, so tune in, Jeremy.
Tune in.
Anyway, so Taylor got a point there.
She's
Yay.
in the
2-1
lead.
for Taylor. Next, Taylor is going to write.
Yes.
Yes. And then Jeremy is going to answer who's her favorite actor or actress, movies, stages, whatever.
her favorite actor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I am going to say Meryl Streep.
Streep Monster.
Oh,
That is a good one, but no, Jennifer Aniston.
why?
Wow.
Super
with
large
friends?
lady boner for her.
Why?
Okay.
Super large. Same
Apparently-
reason you have you do have a lady boner for for Mila Kunis.
It's called a clit.
That's a,
Yes, that is called a clit. Okay, cool. No points.
No
okay,
points.
so those are the end of my theater questions, but we are going to get into a little more, shall we say, risque questions.
All right,
okay.
let's do it.
I'm good with risque. I
Okay.
do risque for a living.
Exactly. Exactly, and we'll get there. Okay, so Jeremy's writing, Taylor's doing it.
Yeah.
One word to describe your guys' first kiss. It's a hard one for sure.
It's a hard one. I'm just kidding.
Right.
No.
You're in the right direction.
One word.
Yeah.
Electrifying.
Ooh,
No,
nice.
Sex.
Sex. Okay.
Not
It was-
sexy.
Well,
No,
I think
that was our first kiss.
Our first kiss turned into sex. I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Was it? Did it?
Yeah, that was our first kiss. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Gotcha.
I don't even
I love
remember it.
Gotcha. Okay, so no points there.
Our
but
relationship is sad.
whatever. Oh man, we just talked for like an hour about how awesome you guys are. So whatever. Anyway, so now
I'm going to write.
Taylor's
Okay.
writing. I'm glad you guys are keeping track for
Yes.
me because
Yes.
Jeremy's guessing. One word to describe your guys' first date. She seems a little too excited with her answer.
There's two what? What, like 2 words? You only get one.
I know,
So
I'm
maybe
Can you
Right.
hyphenate?
hyphenate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
'Kay.
I don't know. Lame. Like, who was the
Lame. Oh no.
No.
Is that your final
That's
answer,
not my
honey?
final answer. I'm gonna say our first date was I don't know, spontaneous.
Close. Accidental.
Accident. I actually
Ooh.
almost said accident.
Gotcha.
But you
Gotcha.
already shamed me into like not liking my answer.
I feel like I'm going to give him a point on that one.
You
All
can.
right.
I agree.
That one was pretty close, for
Yes.
sure. Okay.
because I was either going to go with impromptu or accidental.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all the same
Because
kind of
it
deal,
wasn't
for
even
sure.
supposed to be a date, and then
Right.
we were just like,
Yes.
I guess we're on a date now.
Yeah.
Yeah, synonyms.
Synonyms.
Sure, perfect. Okay, so we have 2 questions left,
All right.
and you guys are tied at 2 to 2.
2-2.
2 to 2. So, okay, Jeremy's writing, Taylor's guessing. Favorite sex position?
Ooh. There's also 2.
Yeah, there's 2 of those. All right. You have a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, it's true.
Good old doggy.
Yep.
You got
Doggy.
doggy?
I wrote doggy.
Gotcha,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Armbar that
Gotcha.
shit.
Awesome. Okay, so Taylor just took the lead, Jeremy. You have to tie it up here.
Yes, you have to tie me up, dear. That's what he said.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Okay.
We're not having sex after this. We are.
Just gonna eat McDonald's in our bed and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Did you know?
I need McDonald's in my bed.
Oh man. Okay, so this one, you guys may not even do. Ashley and I don't really do it, but
Oh, okay.
Jeremy's guessing best edible thing during sex.
Best edible
Edible
thing.
thing.
Like while we're having sex?
Yes.
Okay.
Or foreplay, and it doesn't
I
have
know.
to be like
You better know this.
specifically.
You better
For
know
sex
the
kinda thing?
name of it and everything.
Um,
Hold on. I'm confident, baby.
Here we go.
I'm gonna say that lube, the whipped or the just like me, whatever it is.
Just like me, lube.
There it is. Nice. You guys tied. I love it. Woo. Nice.
We both are average.
Well, and I have one more question for you guys. And this it kind of goes along with what we're talking about. You guys both, like you said, have mentioned in the past that you both run like businesses yourselves, freelancers. what is the best product from each of your guys' thing in regards to sex?
In regards to sex.
Yes,
sex.
which might be hard for you, Taylor,
Mine's
because you have a
gonna-
bunch.
Well, and his might be hard too because
I don't have
not
any.
a sexual company.
Well, you don't have a flavor you guys like in the bedroom?
Oh, okay. He's gonna answer first. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. There is a smell that turns me on, and you know that.
Leather.
Yes.
Okay, is there a leather emoji?
There is. There's a
Perfect.
leather emoji. So
Cool.
yeah, there we go. And bath
Awesome.
bombs
And the-
to wash away the shame.
Sure, perfect. Okay, and Taylor,
Ooh.
your recommendation for sex.
Recommendation for sex.
couples.
I said the Kaya.
Well, yeah. So, can I say two things? Okay, the Kaya is my favorite toy.
Okay.
Like, if it collected a paycheck, I'd like divorce Jeremy and marry it.
Sure.
But also, you have to go back to the basics and the Just Like Me lube. It's like FDA approved,
Right.
And it was, I think, the first FDA approved lubricant on the market for
Gotcha.
personal and for toy play and everything. And it comes in different flavors and stuff. And
Gotcha.
it's really good, and it actually feels the most natural too. It's not sticky or anything like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Awesome. Well, on that note, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I had so much
It was
fun.
fun.
It was a lot of fun, right?
On
cool.
that note,
On that note, well, where can people find you if they want to get those products or anything else?
With me, it's jeremysmojo.com.
Okay.
and with me, it's pureromance.com/Taylor Lawrence.
Perfect.
Or find me on Facebook,
Yeah.
Taylor Heaps.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
As always, the Midvale Main Street Theater podcast is sponsored, funnily enough, by the Midvale Main Street Theater. Check out new and exciting updates on everything going on at the Midvale Main Street Theater by going to www.midvaletheater.com or check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Midvale Main Street Theater. You can find show notes and much more by going to our podcast's Facebook page at facebook.com/MMST podcast. Special thanks to Ashley Howell, Joel Clark, and Matthew Petrucci for help making this show happen. I owe you guys the world. I've been Michael Howell, and this has been the Midvale Main Street Theater podcast. The views expressed have been mine alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Midvale Main Street Theater, its owners, or volunteers. If you've liked what you've heard today, please consider finding the Midvale Main Street Theater podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or whatever podcast listener you're using and dropping us a 5-star review. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at MMST Podcast. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see ya.